1200 Films Podcast, all horror, all the time. Chuckloaf here, your ghost with the most, bringing you another batch of 8 random horror films that I've stumbled across, that I watched for my viewing pleasure, and I'm now relaying for your listening pleasure. Of course, the rating scale on the bottom: dumpster fire, filthy garbage, and then can't quite recommend, okay if desperate. Put it on the watch list, and then put it on top of the watch list. Ready, get set, go. 1973, The Amusement Park. Critic rating, 96%. Audience score, 36. Okay, this film was made by George C. Romero, who did Night of the Living Dead, a classic. And he did this film, and it kind of got put away, literally got put away in a box somewhere, and found many decades later, and then released as a regular film. I kind of wish this movie had stayed lost, because this movie is awful. Basically, it's an old man who decides to go to the amusement park, and he's pretty much kind of bullied, treated inappropriately, bullied, but he just keeps kind of plowing around, and that's it. That's the film. I fail to see any real elements of horror, or any real reason why I need to watch this, or why it was made. I think he put this movie away because I think the director realized this, but he's passed now and can't really do anything about it. Complete filth, complete garbage. I found nothing ability to, you know what I mean. Dumpster fire, filth, garbage. Next one. 2019, Alive. Critic rating, 82%. There was no audience score. Angus McFadden, who's a nice little character actor who also appeared in The Lost City of Z. He is a twisted doctor who's apparently running this huge giant asylum by himself with 2 patients that he purposely kind of keeps ill, I guess, the way to put it. Keeps them comatose. And they eventually figure this out and decide, we need to get out of here. So they kind of work on gaining Angus McFadden's trust. And the further they get that trust, the further they work on their escape plan. There's a few nice little twists, and it has some nice parts. It's fine. There's a time killer. Okay if desperate. Moving on. 2020. Brahms, The Boy 2. Critic rating, 11%. Audience score, 44. I was curious if this movie made money. It actually doubled. It cost $10 million to make, which was mostly the budget to bring in Katie Holmes. And then it made $20 million. Which means you might see like a Sci-Fi Channel sequel. But nothing like the first one. This is more of a straightforward haunted doll movie, where you got bad things happening in the house, and you're wondering, is it the boy, or is it the doll, or is it the doll making the boy do things? And that's the kind of riddle that you have to kind of follow along with as this movie progresses. You know what? It's not a horrible movie. It's far from the worst. It would not have made my worst of that year. It's a good time killer, again, but it's very forgettable. So I would say, can't quite recommend Brahms the Boy 2. Sorry. Next, 2021, SuperDeep. Critic rating 31%. There's again no audience score. They're I guess this Russian crew of digging deep in the earth for something or other, and there's this mishap. That's real deep down in there, and they decided they opened the little hatch to see what was going on down there, and there's something was unleashed. A lot of the critics compared this to Alien. I don't see that. I immediately thought of Leviathan, that other 90s sci-fi deep ocean movie with what's his face? But I didn't really think of Alien. Again, it's an okay time killer. Don't expect much. Don't expect to remember this movie after the day you watched it, but you know, it is what it is. Okay if desperate. 2021, Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. Critic rating 56%, audience score 84. This movie kind of played out more like an episode of Law and Order than anything else it has in the past. It's more revolved around the court drama of this guy who kills another guy and then blames that he was possessed. And I had kind of knew a lot about this case because I've seen several documentaries about it, so I kind of already knew the direction and where it was going to go, and I think that may have hindered my enjoyment since I knew the destination. The creepy parts weren't as effective. I think they tried really hard to make that scene with the waterbed to be, you know, a classic, unforgettable scene, but it wasn't. Yet somehow it's one of the few things I remember from that movie, as far as standalone scares. But and it was impossible to compare to the first two Conjurings, which probably are in my top 20 of all time as far as horror movies. So it's already got it's you know, it's an impossible uphill journey. But it was still a fine little movie, still nicely made. Put it on the watch list. Still deserves to be viewed. Moving on. 2021, Don't Tell a Soul. Critic rating 71. Audience score 55. Okay. So these two brothers, these two teenage brothers, they robbed this old woman's house, and she wasn't there. And Dwight from The Office, Rainn Wilson, he's like, I guess, a neighborhood security guard. What low middle class neighborhood has their own security guard? You got me. I've never heard of such a thing, but apparently this neighborhood has one. So he catches kind of them in the act and runs after them, and they run through the forest, and Rainn Wilson falls in a hole, a deep hole he can't get out of. So the brothers are left with, you know, what do we do? The older brother, who's, I swear, a demon. He's just so cold. He's like, just leave him, let him die. And the younger brother actually has a heart and doesn't, you know, want to kill this man. So he's bringing him food and talking to him, and of course Rainn Wilson is like, call somebody, get me out of here, get some help so I can get out of this hole. And the younger brother is worried about getting in trouble, so he kind of just leaves him in the hole. The first hour of this film was brilliant, wonderful, could have been top 10. But then it had too many twists. Too many things happened. Everyone took a different direction, and it kind of fell off a bit. Still, a nice little movie. Okay if desperate. Yeah, confident with that review. Okay, next one. 2017, Dave Made a Maze. Critic rating 86%. Audience score 71. So Dave is this kind of 30-something guy who's doesn't leave the house, and he's making this little cardboard house, fun house, I guess, in his living room. And he goes in the little fun house, and he can't get out. And then his girlfriend and other friends go in there to get him out. And apparently what he has created is this large leviathan of traps and it's like a haunted house, I guess, but it's something from like Hostel and Saw. It's just a bizarre thing he made. What this really is, what it made me think of, is if it's a horror movie that was made by Pee Wee Herman. It's a Pee Wee Herman horror movie is what this is. If you took Pee Wee from Pee Wee's Big Adventure and Big Top Pee Wee, and you said, Pee Wee, make a horror movie, this is what he would make. It's killing for killing's sake, I guess. There's really no purpose. Pro wrestler John Morrison popped up as the Minotaur. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot of redeeming things about this film, except for maybe the creative ways to kill people. So, with that, I'll give it an okay if desperate. Just for that. Just for the visual entertainment. Okay, and now time for the big review, the main review, the top review from 2021, The Tomorrow War.
In 11 months' time, all human beings in the future will be wiped from the face of the earth. Unless you help us.
I was trying to save my daughter. If I gotta save the world to save her, then I'm gonna do it.
This is the end. The human species will disappear from the face of the earth. We are literally living on borrowed time.
There's still a chance that we can stop this war from ever happening. So we gotta fight.
2021, The Tomorrow War. Critic rating 52%. Audience score is 77. Chris Pratt and J.K. Simmons and about 20 other stars all popped up in this movie. This was supposed to be big budget theater release, but COVID changed that. And then Amazon stepped in and says, we'll buy it for $200 million. And they did. And on the first 4 days that they put this on their streaming service, it hit 2.4 million households. Wow. Apparently that set up all kinds of records for streaming and Amazon and all kinds of stuff. Even after that, it hit another like 1.4 million. So I guess they're happy with it, and then they are in talks already of doing a sequel with bringing everyone back, which is interesting. This movie, very well made, but right when you thought it was about to wind down and end, it kind of picked up again and kept going, and then picked up again and then kept going again, because it's 2 hours and 18 minutes. So you think you're close to an hour and a half. This is going to be summing up here pretty quickly. No, it's still got a ways to go. And all the false endings weren't bad. What kept happening was good, which made the movie better. So basically, they're fighting a war, and they're sending civilians and whomever, people just walking down the street, wherever they can find, to send to the future to fight a war 30 years from now, giving him a gun and saying, he'll go kill the aliens, and these aliens are bastards. They don't go down easy. You got to get several good shots in to bring them down. It's comparable to the Aliens, the sequel to Alien from 1980, when Bill Paxton and all them had to go in there and had to kill all the aliens and They killed a couple, but they also lost several of their own. That's kind of how this works. For each handful of aliens they kill, they lose a batch of people. And the aliens are very nimble too, and they're huge. They're like the size of a small car. But yes, fascinating film. It just picks up and goes and goes and goes. And none of it's bad. It's all good. So it will definitely be in discussion for top horror film of 2021. Probably not number one, but we'll see. On the next show, so we guys put it on top of the watch list. Tomorrow War. So on the next episode, we will cover the following: Vicious Fun, which is about a guy that accidentally joins a support group for serial killers. And then one called Jacob's Wife. An old Vincent Price movie called The Witchfinder General. And then another older one from the 70s called The Messiah of Evil. And then we have a very random, very obscure Bigfoot documentary called Creature from Big Money, an Illinois Bigfoot legend. And then we have The Night Watchman, The Boy Behind the Door, which is getting a lot of buzz for Best Horror Movie of 2021, so we'll see about that. And then The Stranger, which isn't a film. It is a Roku original. It is actually the total length of a film, but they decided to split it into several little tiny 10-minute episodes and release it like that. So we will cover that in its entirety. So until next time, which will be, who knows, I'll see you then.